Ever watch one of those simple language learning videos and wonder, how does it actually work so well? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain. We are going to deconstruct a lesson step by step to show you the powerful learning engine that's hiding inside a really simple story. So, meet Elizabeth. This is literally how the lesson begins. Now, on the surface, it just seems like a friendly little introduction, right? But what's really happening here is the start of a very carefully crafted story. It's designed to pull you into everyday English. Elizabeth isn't just a character. She's basically our guide for this entire lesson. Okay, here's the game plan for how we're going to break this all down. First, we're going to quickly walk through Elizabeth's day, just to get the feel of the story. Then, we'll dig into the story's real purpose, its secret mission, if you will. After that, we'll see exactly how the lesson unlocks new words, how it uses repetition to make them stick, and finally, we'll tie it all together to show you why this whole method is just so incredibly effective. All right, let's start with the story itself. The whole lesson is built around this one super relatable idea, a typical day in the life of Elizabeth. She's a mom, a homemaker, it's simple, it's familiar, and that is 100% on purpose. You see, her day is just structured around totally normal stuff. In the morning, it's about making pancakes for her son Lucas and doing some cleaning. In the afternoon, maybe she does some yoga while he's at school. And in the evening, the whole family gets together for dinner. This simple, everyday routine, this is the foundation. It's the vehicle that's going to carry everything we're about to learn. Okay, so that's the story. Pretty straightforward. But what is it really doing here? This is where we start to see the method behind it all. And it really begins with one big question. I mean, is that all this is? Just a nice little slice of life story? You probably already know the answer is no, of course not. The story isn't the lesson itself. It's the delivery system for the lesson. It's what makes all the information easy to digest and, more importantly, easy to remember. Exactly. The whole narrative about Elizabeth's day is a framework. It gives you context, which makes abstract words and phrases feel concrete and real. So instead of just trying to memorize a boring list of words, you're learning the language the way it's actually used in a real-life situation.
So how does the lesson actually make that jump from the story to the teaching part? Well, the first step is to pull out key phrases and words that you just heard in the story and then break them down.
And here's how they do it. The lesson will take a phrase like tidy and cozy, which you heard in Elizabeth's story, and it gives you a clear definition. But then, and this is the really clever part, it gives you a totally new example sentence. This makes your brain work a little harder to apply that phrase in a new situation, and that is the key to truly understanding it.
Now, understanding the vocabulary is one thing, but you need to make it part of your active vocabulary, the words you can actually use. This is where the lesson introduces a really powerful practice loop. This is the engine of the whole lesson, right here. First, you listen to the story to get the context. Then, you learn the key phrases, like we just saw. Then comes the active part. The video actually asks you to repeat after me, so you're physically saying the sentences out loud. And finally, you listen to the entire story one more time. But now, those phrases that might have seemed strange before, they just jump right at you because you know what they mean.
So we've seen the different parts. There's a story, a vocabulary breakdown, and this practice loop. But why is it that when you put these all together, they create such an effective way to learn? Let's put all the pieces together.
So here's the bottom line. The story provides context, which helps words stick in your brain. Let's be honest, a human story is way more engaging than a dry list of words. The repeat after me part forces what's called active recall. It moves words from something you just passively understand to something you can actually use. And listening to the story again at the end, that's pure reinforcement. It locks in that new knowledge by letting you hear it again in its original home. It's a perfect full-circle learning method.
And that brings us to the end of our little deconstruction. What this whole method proves is you don't need super complex topics to learn a language. A simple, everyday story can be turned into a really powerful lesson. And it kind of leaves you with one final thought, right? What parts of your own daily routine, your own story, could become a framework for learning something totally new?